Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Next Door webinar. I'm Elena Balan, the Head of Research and Innovation Department within the European Association for Social Innovation. And today I will be one of the hosts for this event. Together with our colleagues and partners, we will be presenting the results of the Next Door initiative, which is a project that was funded through the Erasmus program and it was implemented in the last 3 years. I will start with some key facts that led us to developing and implementing this project. And these are the facts that in 2022, the risk of exclusion was 20.2% for people aged 65 years and over, and 21% among the population aged 50 and 64 years. This data didn't change that much since we started the project, so the risk is still there, and we are working together to reduce it and to support the older people communities. Another emergent issue is that older people suffer from loneliness and isolation, sometimes even leading to social exclusion in the areas that lack public transport or are geographically isolated. Then the family and household structure you are evolving for the role of communities in ensuring that people remain connected and supported in the older age. This is why we wanted to implement the Next Door project, which has as main objectives to promote the neighborhoods, to foster protection of old citizens, to increase their level of self-esteem and quality of life, and to support the development of local level. In order to do this, we are working in a partnership, as mentioned before. So we are from different European countries. We have France, from where the coordinator of this project is, AFEG. We have Portugal with Aproximar and Amadora Innova. We have Italy with Tanzania Non Solo, Germany with ASEU, Spain with Consorcio de la Ribera, Romania with us with the European Association for Social Innovation, and from United Kingdom we have Merseyside Expanding Horizons. Results and what we achieved in the last 3 years. We have a methodology for implementing participatory actions and increasing the engagement. We have a digital map of services, an awareness and capacity building program, and finally, a model for the neighborhood's participation to protect and care for elderly citizens. So now we will go through all these results and share with you the indicators that we achieved, but also the materials that can be used also by other organizations or even public institutions. Just a technical information on the upper screen, you will see a Q&A button. So if you have some questions for our presenters, for our speakers, please use the Q&A section and we will try to reply as fast as possible via message. Now I will leave my colleagues to take over and present each of the 4 results that we have produced.
So hello there, I am Nicole from Merseyside Expanding Horizons, and that's based in the UK. So the first result that we had was the methodology, and that is making sure we're doing it through participatory action methods and engaging with stakeholders at a multi-level. Can I get the next slide, please? Okay, so this is result 1 of the project. And through this, again, because we did want to make sure we're engaging, the methodology that we use was based around co-production. So co-production, the key principles of that is adopting an asset-based approach, building on people's existing capacities, reciprocity and mutuality, peer support networks, help blurring distinctions and facilitating rather than supplying. So we really want to make sure we're hearing from the communicators, the communities engaged with the projects. When we done this, we took an approach of engaging with people at a local level, and we was able to reach out to 210 participants, and there was different stakeholders. So we had councillors, parish councils, health and social services, public and private, organisations that represented older people and older people themselves and the general public, especially neighbours. Can I have the next slide, please? When engaging with the elderly in the community, we wanted to make sure that we really heard their voices. So we used a methodology which is including a one-page profile, and this allows people to kind of tell how do they want to be helped and what services do they need in the community. We also include as well an action plan to say what can we get from this. An example on the screen is one of them here from a person. Can I have the next slide? So we thought that this was a great methodology to help the social care professionals provide better person-centered care and support. It's a simple summary of what is important to someone and how they want to be supported. And this is a record that they can share with trusted members of the community. We also done this with neighbours, and we've done this with their senior. So for the first one, the community experience, that was done with a neighbour and how they wanted to help. And for them in the community, they didn't feel like they were familiar with activities that was on, especially that supported older people. They said that they do read from time to time about special offerings for senior citizens advertised in the local newspaper, and that was from Germany. An elderly person themselves, that what they thought about their community was that I think that everyone keeps to themselves lately, and each in their own home. There is not really a community around lately. But also it's important to remember, like through interviews, and this stage was during the COVID pandemic, and that really exacerbated feelings of loneliness amongst people, especially when we was in the lockdown restrictions. So most of our support and gatherings were finding around this and how to kind of access support, combat feelings of loneliness. And at the final result of this was a European report. And that is a very detailed report, and it has examples of one-page profiles from all the partner countries. And you can find more information there, but it's very comprehensive. And we also gathered a list of resources as well from each country, which have examples of inspiring practices from existing local resources within the community that elderly citizens can engage in. I would like to now pass it to Joanna.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Joanna Portugal. I'm coming from Portugal, and I'm coming from Proximar, which is one of the partners in this project. I'm going to speak to you about the awareness and capacity building program that we have developed on the past 2 years and a half, maybe now, almost. So the main purpose, the main objective of this result 3 was to create what we have called a holistic program. And we wanted to promote the next door principle, so very much of what Nicole has been speaking about in terms of the community experience, the co-production, the involvement and engagement of people, either the neighbors, either the professionals, and of course the older people themselves. So we had this twofold ambition. One part was dedicated to the awareness raising. So we wanted to address the general public. We want to address any kind of citizen or citizens of elderly, and of course the elderly citizens themselves. And especially this awareness raising was about to was about to make a call to action, so pushing them to act upon something, to foster their engagement in the community, so to mobilize their inner capacities, their inner skills, what they believe would be important and relevant for their community to be a better community, a more healthy community, and of course one, especially what we were promoting in Nextdoor, one that valorizes older people and the older citizens. The other part was the capacity building program. And this was very much more focused on knowledge and learning. It might not be a very innovative learning in the terms of what we convey, but the combination of the topics that we have provided and to make people everyone talking about the same things and the same concepts, while from time to time you could bring different and new concepts, for instance, healthy aging. The idea was to make everyone speaking the same language. It was more targeted to professionals, and for professionals, we meant community workers, municipalities, social and health services. But even beyond that, we had many very different combinations of target groups, as I will speak a bit later. And this capacity building was very much into using the resources of the Nextdoor, so using the methodology as Nicole has presented, how we have approached the different stakeholders, how we have understood what was the reality in each community. Also, how to use the platform, the app that we will present a bit later on, the digital map of services that Elena presented to you. But also in terms of a high level, how the professionals, those professionals in that territory, could put in practice a neighborhood approach. So it was very linked to a territory, it was very linked to the community. That's why, as Nicole was saying, it was very the connection was in a specific place. It was not a national program that we could implement at this. So it was very a local part. In terms of the awareness raising, the slide, please. Thank you. So what we meant to implement was very different activities. So it was really flexible, really adapted to each context. And the idea is to go outside the spaces, so to use the outdoors if it was possible, to go a bit out of what was the social services, for instance. So you could use cinema, art galleries, you could use public spaces like gardens and other things. The main topic was to have a participatory method, active methods, creative ones, non-formal, so ways that people could feel engaged in and could feel valorized. As I mentioned before, the idea was to push them to action and to foster their engagement. So you could see in the slide some of the posts from different partners. So we had some singing activities. We had some activities to foster the digital technology, so to present how older people could use digital technology. And this one was very linked with the platform and the application that we have built. And we also have some plenary of leaders. So a way to start the engagement in the community was to start with those citizens that have some kind of leadership role in the community, and they are recognized and people feel confident with them. So this was basically the idea. There was no major standards or major requirements for this kind of awareness raising. So each partner was free to adjust and to adapt it in the conversations that they were doing in their local levels. It could be with the stakeholders that they have reached during the previous outputs and the previous results. It could be with the communities that they were working with. or it could be even with the professionals that they were training in the capacity building. So there were very different options. And the idea was also always to speak about these new things, about technologies, about aging, about longevity, about feeling engaged in the community. Those were the keywords that we were having. As for the capacity building, so the next slide, please. So here you have some of the photos that we have for the groups of the people trained, sorry. So as I mentioned, the idea was a more formal learning, so it was not so informal or not non-formal as the awareness raising, and this was targeted to professionals. So it was a certified program. It had 4 training units, 4 modules. So one was focused on older people in society. It spoke about the demography, the special principles in the European Union, the demographics that we had in the different countries and in Europe at the general point of view. But also it goes on the stereotypes and the stigmas that we have nowadays about older people and how we can deconstruct those stereotypes and how we can move into a world, into communities that are not ageist communities, because we have found out, and there's a lot of literature about it, in terms of how ageism can jeopardize the communities and the healthy communities. The second module was about promoting healthy and active aging, so bring a lot of what the World Health Organization has promoted about healthy aging and the new principles and how it could be important and how we could build age-friendly environments and, in this sense, age-friendly communities. The third one was the fostering the use of digital technology, so very linked with the platform that we have built and how professional citizens and older people could use the digital technology and the digital applications that we have. And last but not least, we had a workshop and community engagement, and we call it a workshop because it was something more concrete, more an action plan of how they could, based on their community, based on their experiences and the knowledge that they have gained, how they could implement and foster community engagement in their at their places. In terms of the results, next slide, please. What we have got was 9 pilot tests. So we had 9 training courses implemented in the 7 countries involved in the partnership, which is a great asset for us. It was even beyond what we had stated at the beginning of the project. Also, we had a higher number of professionals trained than predicted. So we had 114 professionals trained. And of course, these are just numbers, but they show, well, first of all and foremost, the interest of the people that we have been reached, the interest of the stakeholders and the importance of working in such topics, but also in terms of the sustainability, because we have a huge amount or a large number of professionals trained. It means that the message and the results can go a bit further than only the partnership that we have. We also have some audiovisual materials that we have created to increase some interactivity with the participants, and they will be available through the website of the project. And from some of the information that participants provided to us, and the picture that you are seeing, it's one of the training groups. They were working in practical exercises. So what they have mentioned in the evaluation that we have conducted, it's that they valued the high level of interaction with other participants. So they valued a lot the networking, getting to know other practices, getting to know other strategies to reach the community, to support older people. They also speak about the comprehensiveness of the models. They said that the course was instructive, it was necessary, but it was also satisfactory. And they also mentioned the practical exercises that they were offered, which we also had a note here that there were some participants that they asked for more. So to have made available more exercises and more practical and concrete plans and concrete actions for the future. We just provided here one quote of one person that says, I was able to get to know my community better and discuss ideas with other professionals. So meaning that she gained some understanding of where she works and of where she could do, but also getting and expanding some ideas for the future. So thank you for this, and I will pass now to Colin.
Thank you, Joanna. Hi, everyone. I am Colin Curtin from AFEGI. Sorry about that. And I will let you know a little bit more about the last results of the project that we are currently still working on and that we will be finalizing up until the end of the summer in August, which will also be the end of the Next Door project. But the idea is actually to make sure that we ensure the sustainability of all of the results of everything that we have built and everything that we have learned from as a consortium and a partnership, to make sure that it can also be replicated and implemented in other contexts. And that is actually the goal of the Next Door model for neighborhood participation to protect and care for elderly citizens. This results is built in two parts. The first part is the launch of local social resource groups. What are those? The local social resource groups are based on a model of employee resources, which had originally been created for career support and development, engagement, referral, and understanding of the business. And the idea is to use this model that is already existing and applicate it in a context that is completely different with stakeholders. Actually, all the stakeholders that we had met with and got the chance to interact with and discuss with throughout the previous results. Those stakeholders can be professionals working with elderly people, but also all different types of different community workers that work with elderly people. So the goal was to have them all into one room to discuss certain topics. Each partner is now piloting or had been piloting a local groups in their local context. The groups, the idea was that each group would meet for at least 4 months in a defined frequency. This way we can make sure that the idea was to discuss a pretty wide range of different topics. And the goal ultimately would be that the participant of each group would issue some policy related recommendation. And the way we have been doing that is that a lot of the partners implemented their groups in collaboration with municipalities. For instance, in Portugal, it started in January, and they have involved several different municipalities, and all the participants decided the topics that would be more interested to discuss all together. And this process has actually been pretty similar in all the countries. In the UK, they meet every other Tuesday, so the frequency is even higher. In Italy, for instance, the topics at first really focused on the leisure activities, because it was a fact. They noticed that it was really something that was really important actually for the elderly people that joined. And now they are discussing a little bit more the issues of mobility, because in some places there are a lot of things that are being offered, but the main obstacle for the people to join is the access to mobility. And so it's just to give you a little example of what is being done in those groups that are still taking place right now in all of the countries of our partnership. So that is one part of the final results. And the reason why we talk about sustainability through this is because the goal is also for the project to start a dynamic, but that will then be taken over by the participants, and that will become sort of larger than the project and will keep on going if the the groups that have been meeting regularly see that there is a need and that it is actually really interesting for them. And the second part of our result is the creation of the model. So the model will be a guide that will give local stakeholders the key to replicate the Nextdoor project in a different local context. So what we are working on right now is to create this document which will showcase everything that we've been doing, and it will provide an overview with a lot of tips from everything that we have learned, and the things that worked, the things that were really well received, and maybe the tips on how to make it even better. And it will actually compile all of the resources that we have created throughout the almost 3 years of the project. There will be information on how to use them, and yes, a lot of advice from the partners. So for this, I will strongly advise you to stay tuned, because that will definitely be available in the coming weeks. So if you're interested, please reach out to the partners, and we will make sure to send it to you. And this way you will have the all of our tips. So that is it for the Nextdoor model. I will now leave my colleagues from EASY tell you much more about the platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Now we're gonna talk about the Nextdoor platform. My name is Maria Despoio from EASY, European Association for Social Innovation. So the Nextdoor platform is a digital platform designed to motivate and support neighbors and community workers in reducing the isolation of older adults. It is an innovative tool that maps the local available resources or services in order to increase their accessibility and visibility for older adults and their social networks. I will, part of this digital tool process was the mapping of needs and of the community involvement. The consortium had organized 14 consultation workshops to identify user needs, with total participation from 112 participants, including designers and IT specialists from the countries involved in the project. And this input was used for the design and building the content of the platform. I will share my screen to go through the platform so you can see it, and I will also share the link here in the Q&A so you can browse it yourself, save this for later. Okay. And now I will share my screen. Okay. So this is the platform. It has been thought to benefit older adults, but it's also to be pretty much used by people such as neighbors, relatives, community workers, or organizations who offer services or support for older adults. The platform is available in multiple languages. Now you can see it in English. So of course we also have it in German, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. And you can select the language in the upper right corner of the platform. Users can find services in their proximity by browsing the map or using the search function in the services map section. And results can include social services, volunteer organizations, home care services, health services, leisure services, delivery shops, or pharmacies. You can also filter the results depending on the country you want to search in the services. By clicking on a pin on a map, you can see further details about the selected organization or service. So this is the services map. For the events section of the platform, here you can find out about local activities or events dedicated to older adults and to supporting intergenerational activities. You can browse the engines or use the search bar to find certain events using specific words. You can also filter the results depending on the country or the type of event, which can be online or in person. The next section in the platform offers is the resource section, where users have access to information dedicated to older adults or to neighbors willing to offer their support, or to find information dedicated to organizations working with older adults. We also have a feedback section included in the platform because we want to hear the feedback of users and organizations using the platform. You can select if you're filling in the survey as an organization or as a regular user, and also change the language of the survey so it's easier to navigate. And finally, for the final step on the platform, we have this section for registering. Any organization or company offering services to older adults can register to show up on the services map that I showed you earlier. And once approved, they can also be granted the option to add events or resources to the platform and therefore be visible to all the users accessing the platform. This would be like a short presentation of the platform, and we're looking, of course, forward to your feedback or if you have any other questions. And we hope it will prove to be a useful or interesting solution that you can use.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our speakers today, and thank you for everyone who took time to join this short session about the Nextdoor project. We hope that we raised your curiosity, your interest, and you will check for some more information about we have produced in these 3 years of work. So on the chat, on the Q&A section, you have the link for the website where you can also access the platform. So thank you once again, and feel free to contact us if you need some more information. Have a great day, everyone.